Hey guys, this is Jessi Kneeland of Remodel Fitness. This is part of my ongoing Q&A series, Ask Jessi Kneeland. I have a question today from Amy. She writes, I'm trying to listen to my body and trust my gut more, which has been amazingly empowering and helpful. The problem is that sometimes I can't tell the difference between my intuition's wisdom and me just being scared. I'm considering quitting my job and trying to pursue a whole other career, which really excites me but is also really scary. When I try to listen to my gut, I can't tell if I'm scared because this isn't a good idea and I should wait, or if I'm scared because I know I'm ready. I know I'm going to do it eventually, but my question is, how do you know what the right decision is or when you're ready for a big change? First of all, yay, Amy, for listening to your body and trying to trust your gut more. This is an amazing skill that everyone should be working on because nobody teaches it to us. And when we don't have access to knowing our own body's wisdom, then we feel completely lost and have a really hard time making decisions that are good for us. So first of all, yay. Second of all, I love this question because it is tricky. It's like a legitimately difficult thing to learn the subtle differences between your intuition and fear. The reason for that is because fear will override everything. Fear has a way of shutting down all the other signals that you're getting. Like literally all the physical signals, like fear will shut down hunger, for example. Fear will shut down everything, tiredness, whatever. But it also shuts down your emotional signals and your intuitive signals. So it is really hard to feel what you want or need in a really truthful way when there's fear involved. So just know that fear has the ability to hit the override button and that that's normal. But that does make this kind of complicated because then if we listened to fear and we were scared all the time, then we wouldn't have any other signals, you know. Perfect example would be like skydiving, because fear is going to be there. If you're like, oh, I'm going skydiving and that's a decision I've made that I'm totally willing to stand by, your fear is still going to show up. And if you confused intuition and fear in that moment, then like you probably wouldn't go. And the truth is, your fear's not wrong, right? Like your fear is saying like, hey, maybe don't jump out of a plane at 10,000 feet in the air. So it might actually have something really worth listening to, but in that moment, you've already decided I'm overriding fear. I'm making this choice despite my fear. And in a lot of situations, that's what you're going to want to do because fear's like, you can think of it like an overprotective parent, like always has its heart in the right place, is always trying to do right by you and protect you, but a lot of times just isn't needed because you've made a decision that doesn't require fear. So the big thing that you'd have to learn is the difference between what fear plus excitement feels like versus fear plus dread or fear plus like boredom. Because that's the difference between an internal yes and an internal no. So a perfect example of an internal yes would be when I was I had just started considering going to life coaching school, and I was freaking out about it. I was so scared that I was going to like give up everything I'd built in the fitness industry, my reputation and my clients and my time and all this stuff, and go a completely different direction that nobody else I knew was taking. And I was like, oh my God, I'm going to destroy everything and I'm going to accidentally burn it to the ground because I just wanted to learn more about this cool stuff. So I was super, super scared. My body was lit up. I was like full of adrenaline, and I had a little conference powwow call with several friends. And as they were listening to me talk about it, like, why do I want to do it? I was telling them what it would offer and what I was afraid of. They were like, Justin, we can hear a yes. Like, we can literally hear a yes in your voice. There's tons of fear, but there's a yes. It's not a strong, it's not like you don't instantly know. I think I didn't instantly know that it was a yes until people were giving me that feedback. But as soon as I said it, I was like, yeah, it is a yes. I was like, oh my God, I'm going to do this because it's a yes. It feels expansive. Your body's like, yes, that. Whereas a no is fear plus like dread or fear plus nothing, apathy, boredom. It's more contractive. It's a yuckier feeling. It's not a yes. It's different. An example, I was talking to a woman recently who said that she wants to be the kind of woman who delivers care packages to her friends and support her, female friends in the community. and that she'd been doing it and was just kind of feeling about it. Like, I wonder when this is really going to start to feel good, like when am I going to like be that person? And hearing her talk about it, I was like, so I'm hearing that this isn't the right action choice for you. It took maybe some vulnerability to do it, and that's a good practice. And maybe it made you feel insecure or uncomfortable, and that's like cool that you had to get over that to discover this. But ultimately, what it sounds like she discovered was a no. It was that wasn't the right action step for what she really wanted. And so when there's fear combined with dread or boredom, it feels like no. So they're very subtle, and if it was a screaming loud yes or a screaming loud no, then you probably wouldn't even be considering it or like writing me this question. So about your job, I would sit and ask yourself, does it feel like a yes or a no, in terms of like whether or not you want to make the decision, which maybe it sounds like you do, but the difference between like, oh, I'm terrified, but oh my God, like I can't wait, like that lights me up. That's a yes. And like, I'm terrified and also really sad to leave this job that I love and like really dreading the idea of doing it, that would be a no. And the fear might be equal in both cases, but what it's being paired with is going to tell you the difference between a yes and a no. And if it's a decision about when something, it's the same thing. Like, there's no shame in not being ready to make a move yet. I always say this, like sometimes we stumble upon when we're doing this kind of work, we're getting into our like intuitive, desirous parts of ourselves and we're like, oh my God, I just realized like I hate my job. It doesn't mean you have to quit today. You can sit with that information and let that inform you for as long as you want and as long as it takes for you to be ready to make the next choice. However, a lot of people are waiting for ready to be the moment where they're not scared anymore. And that's not really the right choice either, because you're never not going to be scared anymore. It's always going to be the unknown. And it's okay to have it be the unknown. It's okay to take action when you're scared, as long as you know you're taking action because it's a yes. It's like oh, I want that. And if you're like, I want that someday, then it's not going to be such a strong yes. If you check in with yourself and you're like, yeah, it'd be nice to move on from this career, and there's probably some other stuff that I'd really enjoy doing. Like, fine, whatever. But that doesn't mean you have to do anything about it. But then if there's like, you check in and it's like, oh my God, I'm so scared and I'm so excited. Like, I really, really want to do this other thing. I am not willing to tolerate this anymore. Like, that's a really strong message that it's going to be sooner rather than later. And I always encourage people to take action when it feels like a yes someday, to take action sooner than you feel ready, to push yourself to make the step and then, go off like the leap of faith, go off the cliff, see what happens, because you're always going to be okay. It's always going to be okay. And ultimately it all turns out however, but like, it's not necessarily going to turn out better because you waited a little longer. What's scary about it now will probably be scary about it then. So in some ways, just taking that action, like going, whew, I'm scared, but it's a yes, so I'm doing it now, is one of the most empowering things you can do to change your life and for the better. And also, the more you listen to the wisdom of your body, the more that you do this work where you're going like, okay, gut, what you trying to say? The more easy it will be to tell the difference. It'll become much easier and clear to you between a yes and a no, even when there's fear present. Because it is very subtle, and it's like listening to whispers, and you just get better at deciphering those subtle cues. So awesome. Also, good luck. This is really exciting. Cool.